So firstly, I want to thank you personally and also your organization. You created this opportunity at least 3 times or something.
This is our 3rd year.
3rd year. Reason, time always moving. Time never stand still, moving. Then past is past. We cannot change past. So only possibility is future. So the generation, at present generation, you see, have some opportunity to create what kind of future. Then look back 20th century. I think immense violence. I just mentioned there. As I remember, First World War, Second World War, then the Vietnam War, Korean War, and also, you see, immense civil war in Russia and China. So according to some sort of historian, they say about 200 millions of human beings killed. And once you see war happen, a lot of destruction. I myself, you see, have the opportunity to visit Hiroshima and Nagasaki. See, I think Hiroshima. This is some damaged sort of building still there. And then most important, I met some old lady who suffer radiation, nuclear radiation. And I met them. And then they are on watch 10 o'clock morning, that bomb blast. So watch stopped at that moment. Some part of the watch melted. So I think in the 20th century, we really sort of thinking, use force is the sort of answer for all these problems. That's totally wrong. So, I feel, see now, beginning of 21st century, still, I think the reality much changed. I think global economy, no national boundary, and the climate change, no national boundary. Entire 7 billion human beings now facing this problem. And then due to technology and these things, now I think people, east, west, south, north, you see the information about other parts of the world very clear. I remain here at Dharamsala, quite isolated, but through television, mainly BBC and CNN, is what happened in Nigeria and Iraq. It's quite so familiar, and the rest of the world. So I think because of these new development, I think a sense of oneness, basically now there is sort of the basis of sense of oneness there. Now we really need, in order to future, more happier future, more peaceful future. Firstly, who creates this violence? War. Not by animal, but by human being. Isn't it? And basic human nature, now some scientists say, basic human nature is more compassionate. It's obviously very clear, including ourselves. I think 7 billion human beings, we all come from our mother. And we survived with mother's milk, mother's taking care, affection. So, our life, the affection, love, is so important. Our life started that way. So everybody have the seed of compassion. So now, you see, some kind of sense of concern of your own close friend. That's attachment, not genuine compassion. Genuine compassion on the basis of, same human being, I do not want suffering. I want joyfulness. They also human being, so you see, they have right to achieve joyfulness life, happy life. So then sense of concern of their well-being, that is compassion. Mother's compassion, although emotionally some sort of attachment there, but that take as a seed, then use human brain, human intelligence, analyze what is the value of selfish. We are a social animal. Just selfish, think oneself. It's against the very nature. We are even animal. Those social animal, they have some sort of biologically some sense of same community and taking care of each other. The animal cannot do much but licking. There one companion feel sort of illness or something, then the companion. Their strong sense of community. Because you see, they need community. Without community, those social animal, as an individual, very difficult to survive. So basically, we are social animal. No matter how sort of powerful one individual, without community, cannot survive. So now today's reality, 7 billion human beings, whole humanity are one community, I feel. Eastern, their future depends West. West, their future depends East. Similarly, South, North. Then on top of that, the climate condition, global warming. That's a very serious matter now. We cannot avoid that. Within, I think, 1 or 2 centuries, I think there is possibility the whole world become desert. In Afghanistan, person or you.
Yeah.
So when I sort of flying over Afghanistan, many part of Afghanistan, previously some snow mountain and lake now disappear, remaining some area, small lake. Otherwise become desert. Now Himalayan range, including Tibet, also now becoming, you see, the climate change already. I mentioned, you see, my own sort of experience when I first came here, Dharamsala, 1960, summer 1960. That winter, a lot of snow. Now, each year pass less. So I sort of suggesting the local officials, some occasion. I mentioned now we cannot take for granted because of the water resources here. Now, even within the last 4 decades, 5 decades, you see snow less. So, you see, we have to think more seriously in future water resources. So, for the time being, some sort of Kasatimi river there. So we have to think some kind of dam, reservoir, like that. So that's, you see, the nature of global change. So now, the global warming, I think, telling us you should work together. And small fighting, different nation, or sometimes, unfortunately, even religious faith also make a divide. And within Muslim, Shia and Sunni, senseless. This is same Quran, same Allah, same Quran, and 5 times prayer, same. The small differences, and the name, different name, Shia and Sunni killing each other. Senseless. Now, as far as religious harmony is concerned, in this country, India, over 3,000 years, different religious tradition develop. Firstly, homegrown different religious tradition, Sangha philosophy, Jain philosophy, and then Buddhist philosophy. In the philosophical field, there are differences, but no quarrel. Intellectual level, yes, some debate, argument. That's good to further development of our intelligence. Otherwise, we should live together. Then over 2,000 years, I think the Judeo-Christian tradition reached here. Also Islam. No problem. So I recently I suggested to Indian Muslim, you should organize some meeting. Firstly, national level, then gradually international level Muslim conference. So let them see there's no problem. Shia and Sunni, we can live in this country. All major world institutions live together. So, that reality, not just recently developed, over 3,000 years, that harmony among the different religious traditions there. So this should show that our brothers, sisters, where due to different religious faith, some problems, we must show them religious harmony is very possible. Now India, over 1 billion population, big nation, and I think you all may notice you see a lot of problems.
Yeah.
However, as far as religious harmony is concerned, I think really example of the rest of the world, religious harmony is possible, can live together.
Your Holiness.
So now main point is youth. You have great opportunity to make significant contribution for better world, happier world. So I'm great honor mixing with you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Your Holiness, you've already touched on a lot of the themes that I know are important, and our youth leaders look forward to discussing with you, so thank you. And if I could also just thank you on behalf of all of our colleagues from U.S. Institute of Peace who are here and who are around the world, all of our youth leaders, all of our thought leaders. in the 4 years since we first met and discovered that our visions were very closely aligned of a world without violent conflict, and we were able to put this program together. This is our third group. And today we have 28 youth leaders from 14 different countries. 14. We have thought leaders with us as well. I want to just say thank you from last year's group of youth leaders. This is the record of those who came last year, and we know that they have continued to benefit from the wisdom and joy that you brought to them last year. And I'd also like to take a moment to present Siddharth with a copy of this book as well, because we're so grateful to Siddharth for helping to make this possible. We are here because of his assistance, so thank you. And then just so you know who's in the room, we wanted to go quickly around the room and just have people say their names and where they're from. So you get a sense of the breadth of geography that we've covered here. So we'll just go quickly around the room.
I'm Miron from north of Iraq.
You pass the mics around to say that. Thanks.
I'm Dalia from Venezuela. I live in the border with Colombia.
I am Wadi from Nigeria, northern Nigeria.
Paula from Colombia.
Yeah.
I'm Lama from Syria.
Syria.
Lama from Syria. Yeah.
I'm Amr from Syria also.
Which part of Syria? Within Syria?
Yeah, I'm from Damascus, from the capital.
I'm from the coastal side in Syria. The coastal. Yeah.
I'm Omar from Libya.
Oh, Libya.
Libya.
I'm Sarah from Tunisia.
Tunisia, yes.
I'm Ghadi from Libya.
I'm Dua from south part of Iraq. Dua from south part of Iraq.
Dua.
Yeah.
From Iraq.
I am Mohammed from Somalia.
Somalia.
I'm Suleiman from Afghanistan, north part of Afghanistan.
I'm Casey from the Central African Republic. I'm Libby from the United States.
I'm Katie from the United States.
I'm Maya from the United States.
I'm Rob from the United States.
I'm Greg from the United States.
I'm Jimmy from the United States.
I'm Vicky from the United States.
I'm Aubrey from the United States.
I am Lupai from South Sudan.
I'm Allison from the United States.
I'm Husnia from Afghanistan. Husnia from Afghanistan.
Afghanistan.
I'm Haider from Iraq.
I am Sebastian from Colombia.
Colombia.
I'm Noor from Libya.
I am Tania from Colombia.
I'm Waberi from Somalia.
I'm Janina from Venezuela. Venezuela.
Brazil.
Venezuela.
Venezuela, huh?
I'm Sharif from Afghanistan.
I'm Nheng Bang from Myanmar.
From
Myanmar. Burma.
Burma, right.
I am from Burma.
What's your name?
Auntie Mia.
No.
Masa from Syria also.
I'm Sarah from Tunisia.
I'm Nam from Myanmar. Burma.
Kaza.
Burman.
Right. Your address. Huh?
I'm Kinem from Central African Republic.
Central Africa.
Yeah. So we as a group have been reflecting a lot these past several days on the very difficult challenges that they face as being committed to building peace in environments that have a lot of conflict, and how they face the challenge of creating that inner resilience and that inner peace that helps them go forward. So we thought we would start the conversation with you, really focused on that that fundamental question of how do you break the cycles of conflict that often go on for generations because of that lack of the inner peace. And I wanted to ask Miron if he could get us started with this dialogue, with our thanks again, Your Holiness, for being with us today.
Thank you very much. My story started when back then in 2014. I was in Lebanon for a youth program, also exchange, dialogue from different people of Middle East countries. And in that area we had a limited access of internet, and I didn't have lots of in touch with my family. At the end of the day, at the end of the program, I went back to the airport and I had to call my family to pick me up. To pick me up from the airport to take me home. And I called my family were like, you should not come back, or you should find another country to come back, because everybody is leaving. I had to go back, and my brother was waiting for me. We went back home, to our home. There was nobody, and the ISIS, the Islamic State of Iraq and Sham, they were almost about to attack us, and they attacked already other areas. We went to the safest area of the north. My town is Bashika, which is in Mosul, north of Iraq. And my community is the Yazidis. The Yazidis. Yeah. And it was like we were the target of this conflict. And we went to the other safest areas, and we had to stay. We didn't, like everybody had no place to stay, and we had to stay for 5 to 10 days, sleeping on the streets and or inside the cars. And we heard the stories, like we had to go back and listen to the radio, or if we had access to internet. We heard that most of the other cities that were captured, all the women were taken as sex slaves, and the children. Yeah. And the children were taken to be planned to be terrorists. They would teach them and to make them terrorists. At that moment, I had...
To be terrorists.
Terrorists. They were teaching them to be terrorists and soldiers. At that moment, we saw so much of hate. We started to have hate inside. I myself had so much hate against other religions and other minorities who didn't help or who fought with us. And for sometimes I knew that that's not the solution. And I had to recover and find peace, because you mentioned earlier in the beginning of your speech that the past is gone and what's important is the future. So I had in a group with youth people, we had to start having dialogue with the intercultural and religious dialogue with the youth people of different religions to have sense of peace building. My question is, I had the inner peace inside myself, and I had suffering to get that inner peace inside myself. How do you think we can transfer or share that inner peace to the other generations, to the youth? Thank you.
Yes, very important and difficult task. Now I want to share some of my effort. Now, existing sort of situation of the world, if goes continuously this, I think this century, 21st century, also will be miserable century. Now we have to think how to overcome. Our hope. Not working? Oh yes. Our hope is some scientist. I think I share here the story, whole story. I have sort of dialogue with scientists over 30 years, mainly cosmology and new biology, neurobiology, then physics, particularly quantum physics, then psychology. So this very room, you see some occasion, discussion. So over 30 years, our experience become quite clear. We can, at the mutual learning, we can learn some scientific findings, very useful. To them, ancient Indian sort of knowledge about psychology, they found very, very helpful. Then, quantum physics. One of my Indian nuclear physicist, he once told me, quantum physics in the world, in the West, something new. But this country, over 2,600 years, already developed quantum physics. So it is true, when I discuss with scientists, like quantum physics and psychology, we already sort of have fuller knowledge. The scientist, just the beginning, like that. So then, you see, the today's world, we really passing through some kind of crisis of emotion. Too much destructive emotion. The religion also use for one side victory, one side defeat. So my point is, one occasion, one scientist mentioned with one picture, this is 6-month-old baby, language not yet developed. So anyway, so our existing sort of, because of the troubled world's influence not yet developed, because no language, 6-month-old. So nature, human sort of, percept or human feeling, very much alive, not, spoiled. So they do 6-month-old child, one sort of cartoon. In that cartoon, two children. One children is pushing ball upward. Then another child helping that person. And that picture shows that 6-month-old child smiling, because the picture helping each other. So that child feel happy, like that. So then next sort of cartoon, the one child pushing that ball, the another child create obstacle, pushing back. So when that 6-month-old child saw that unhappy sort of expression, so that scientist now concluded basic human nature is more compassionate. Then because of the practical level, we all come from our mother. Without mother's affection, mother's care, we will not survive. That's very clear. And then, according to medical scientists, constant anger or stress, very bad for our health. Other hand, more peaceful mind is very good for our health. So usually, according to our common sense, now anger, fear creates these destructive emotion. More compassionate mind is the antidote of anger. And also, you see, reduce fear, because fear very much related with self-centered attitude. Compassion is taking care of others' well-being. So too much self-centered attitude creates fear, irritation, and creates anger, then violence. So this is nothing to do with religion, but according to medical scientists now they say that, like that. So therefore, and according to my own experience, I think I can share these young people. My age now nearly 84, and my whole life not easy, lot of difficulties. Age at 16, I lost my freedom because of Chinese invasion. Then, age 24, I lost my own country, become refugee. In a way, become refugee, but in a way, I become guest of Indian government. Now I am the longest guest of Indian government.
And Your Holiness.
So now my life, you see, difficult life, but I can keep peace of mind. So that also, you see, sort of immense sort of help, you see, to maintain quite good sort of the physical health. So therefore, according to my own experience, now inner peace on the basis of try to reduce anger, suspicion. That the psychological sort of field, the mind, anger, not independent, very much related with a lot of other emotion. So therefore now I fully committed revival of ancient Indian knowledge, how to tackle our emotion. In this country, over 3,000 years, the concept of single-pointed meditation, which is called shamatha, and analytical meditation, we call vipassana, investigation. So Buddha himself, product of these ancient Indian knowledge. So India, I really feel now ancient Indian knowledge, how to tackle our emotion, how to bring inner peace. Now modern India, although you see not much pay attention about these sophisticated sort of knowledge, how to tackle our emotion, but at least in this country still use the concept of ahimsa, non-violence, still. So therefore, now my commitment, revival of ancient Indian knowledge in modern India. Because it's a modernity, you see, our education itself, also you see, modern education very much emphasis material value, not talking about our inner value. So therefore, now firstly, I'm now committed to revival of ancient Indian knowledge about inner world and combined with modern education, which produced by Britisher. That also important, science, technology, and these things. But that alone, we already noticed many countries materially highly developed, but too much problem in emotion. So therefore, now I want to share with you the tomorrow the government college at Dharamsala, the head principal will come. So I already, you see, start some work program. How to introduce ancient Indian knowledge in modern education field. So the college, the principal, and some teacher, they're fully sort of committed now. Now we have some program in Delhi also. So now I want to say, you see, the student, firstly from Afghanistan, our neighbor, and then some of the Burma or some of the sort of people, these tropical area. I think I really feel join instead of go to Europe or America. Come here in India, study modern education plus ancient Indian knowledge how to tackle our emotion. I feel India, you see, can help, I feel. So I really want to see welcome to more students. You see, instead of go to Europe or America. You see, if you really want making more dollar, then go to America or Euro, you go to Europe. But if you really want inner peace, come to India. There you go. That's my view.
Your Holiness, unfortunately, even though their countries are very different, some of them share similar stories in terms of the kinds of violence. And I'd like to maybe ask a couple of our youth leaders to share their stories. And Kangi, maybe you could go next and remind His Holiness where you're from.
Thank you. My gratitude to His Holiness. I'm Kangi from Central African Republic. My story is about the last event in Central African Republic. It was 2013. That one of the group of rebellion in my country called Seleka came and took power. In one day, more than 1,000 persons passed away. And I lost my uncle, my younger brother, and my grandpa. So it was like a big trauma. A big trauma. At that time, I felt like a darkness in my mind, in my heart, full feelings of revenge. So what I find like the response, I start working for the peacebuilding in my country. But, I lost the sense of loving my country and my nation. Because, my heart is full, the revenge, It's not easy for me. But I keep working as a peacebuilder. So, my question from you, as His Holiness, that you are like for us, the model for youth leader working for the peace. How can learn from you? How can learn from you to develop more loves and compassion toward my nation and to peace my country? Thank you.
Thank you, Kangi. And I'm going to ask Susu if you could just continue. Thank you, Kangi.
Thank you. Thank you, His Holiness. I come from Burma with one of the world's most longest civil war, and we have a lot of intercommunal conflict among ethnics. Yes, Lordly. Okay. So I grew up in Chan State. So a lot of armed groups and a lot of ethnic hatreds among ourselves. So I also have myself has a traumatized experience the whole life. But now I'm working as a peace practitioner and working between different ethnic armed organizations and government as well. And at the same time, I'm also working with Muslims. So as you might know, that in Myanmar, we have a lot of Islamophobia, and working with Muslims is a kind of taboo in our country. So I wanted some more inspiration from you that how I can move on to work with diverse ethnic and religions for our country, peacebuilding, and at the same time, because our society is a lot of traumatized, so how can we empower, how you, as your Holiness, how you can empower those kind of traumatized societies to contribute in peacebuilding? Yes.
Of course, both cases, I think, as I already mentioned, if we pay more attention about our inner value through education from childhood, basic human nature, the now scientists, as I already mentioned, basic human nature is more compassionate, as I already mentioned. So that's hopeful sign. Now our existing education should include, now these days I'm telling, the hygiene of physical already in our education field. Now we need hygiene of emotion should include in our education, secular education. Without touching religion, how to build peaceful mind? For otherwise, now the existing education, you see, without any sort of effect on our emotion, then you see these things happen. Now, you see individual people or group of people without knowing how to build inner peace, then it's very difficult. You see, if I have miracle power, then I can do something. But without that, just sort of pray. And if too much sort of, my sort of expression maybe too much because of disrespect. Sometimes I tell some my friend, now God seems now sleeping. The human being pray to God, but nothing happened. So seems God also full rest. So now, I think here, I never propagate Buddhism. Burma is, of course, Buddhist. I never propagate Buddhism. I never say Buddhism is best. But according to Indian tradition, Buddhism, Jainism, and one part of Sankhyaism, all these three, Sankhyaism over 3,000 years. Then Buddhism, because of Jainism over 2,000 years. So all, you see, have the concept no creator, but rather oneself is creator. So self-creation. So you see, all responsibility on our own shoulder. So training of mind is very important. So over 3,000 years in this country, you see training of mind already there. That also, you see, secular way. According to Indian understanding, secular means disrespect religion. No, respect all religion and also respect non-believer. That way of approach is very also suitable or relevant to today's world. Out of 7 billion, over 1 billion non-believer. And suppose 6 billion believer, their belief is superficial. When their mind is okay, then pray to God. But then they're passing through difficult, no longer thinking about God, just fighting. And the worst thing, use name of religion, then fighting, killing. Really. So therefore now, time come, we have to think long-term solution, future of the world, through education. Not through prayer, but through education. So that's the only way. Otherwise, You see, nobody have some miracle power to change these problems. You suffer a lot, you have to suffer.
And
because the whole sort of way of thinking, whole society, materialistic life, materialistic culture, because education sort of give us the sort of how to make money.
Yeah. I'd like to invite Wadi, who experiences, I think, exactly what you're talking about.
So
Wadi.
now I think I feel through education, more holistic education, taking material value, material development, and physical health, meantime emotional health, mental health. Then I think these problems due to emotion can be reduced. That's the only hope I feel. And then when I heard the Burma, ruin, this problem. Burmese Buddhist, as our brothers, sisters, special brothers, sisters. But then, even Aung San Suu Kyi, you see, cannot do much. Few occasions, as a Nobel laureate, I have opportunity meeting. I mentioned. Then she told me, things are very, very complicated, very difficult. So like that, you see things. Once you see the fundamental level, we only think me. The lack of sense of community, or on the basis of altruism, then this problem there. You see, we cannot sort of eliminate this problem. The only now future possibility is there. Basic human nature is more compassionate. Therefore, now education, I think, should include. So as I mentioned earlier, firstly, revival in this country in education, secular education, you see, including education about how to develop inner peace. Once we already sort of, as I mentioned earlier, we already sort of start some effort. Once I think at least you see this college here, you see the leader of the college fully sort of, committed. So if we, once we develop the curriculum about secular ethics, and then I want to invite you join here. That's the only way.
Yeah. So
the prayer, 1,000 years we pray, nothing happened.
Time for action.
Oh.
Wadi, please share with His Holiness.
I think I may sort of tease you, the Muslim, the Shia side pray Allah, and Sunni side also pray to Allah. So Allah confused. Now his blessing should go Shia side or Sunni side.
Or my side.
Yes.
Okay, Wadi.
Thank you, Your Holiness. It's a pleasure to be here. So I grew up in northern Nigeria where there's Boko Haram, and I would say I was fortunate to have lived in a family where we believed in peace and unity, but we lived in a community where we came from a minority religion in that area, and so we felt everything was okay. During Christmas, we'll share food. During Salah, we'll share food. Everyone was happy until one day they started killing, and we still felt safe because we were from that part and we knew the language there. Until one day our neighbor's son, who was about 7 years old, came and told us that one day they will come and kill us. And in less than 2 days, we packed out of there and went to another place. But where I'm from, my state of origin, Adamawa State, our house was destroyed and many people were killed there. My mom was lucky enough to have left 10 minutes before then, but I lost so many cousins and relatives, our property, everything. And some people ran away on foot. So many people just scattered. And now I don't think I have a place to call home anymore because it almost does not exist. And so that prompted me to start a movement, Love in the Midst of War, to promote love and unity and peace. But the major issue now is sometimes I give up because there's this hurt in my heart. And one thing I'm scared of is not being able to empathize anymore because we're used to the pain. I lost an uncle 2 days ago to the same chaos, and so my uncle was killed 2 days ago because of another riot, and I find it difficult crying or showing emotions because I'm used to such news. So my main question now is how to keep going, how to keep being resilient and keep promoting peace and love, even when in my heart sometimes I feel so much pain that I cannot express.
And Your
yes,
Holiness.
Me too. I always say, listen BBC, and then also sort of television, BBC, CNN. There are a lot of sort of sad stories, event, killing, or bully, cheating. Sometimes, and then while I'm sort of seeing these, 우린 단지 되겠다. 그래, 우린.
No. So in those situations, His Holiness can't do anything, but just take a side.
And then sometimes tear. Nothing can be done. But then another sort of question. If we remain, I say the pessimistic attitude, sad, 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 sad. That is, I said, no proper reason. As I already mentioned, there is hope. We can change through education, through human intelligence. We can change these things. So now, instead of pessimistic, more enthusiasm, seeing more suffering, we should build more determination. Since there is possibility to overcome these things, if there is no possibility to overcome, then maybe better to take some drugs and sleep, and then permanent sleep. So there is hope, as I already mentioned. Now I think when I first came to India, I think in 1959, not.
Bless you.
Sorry. Okay, all my germ goes now here and here.
Your Holiness, maybe we can ask Sarah.
Wait. Since in my early part of my refugee life, nobody paid attention. And our main sort of task is how to preserve our knowledge within our own community. Then 1973, I had opportunity to visit Europe. Then 59, visit to Soviet Union, and then America. Then 79, yeah,
59.
79. So then I felt, our knowledge which come from India, over 1,000 years, we kept all this knowledge. Now seems some relevant to today's world. Then I start sort of some expression. Then more and more people, including many scientists, now showing interest. So therefore, the number of sort of my friend, after our discussions, is that their mind become much more peaceful, including some scientists. So this is more or less sort of private sort of story. Right? One scientist, great scientist, you see, his family background Jewish. Now he, you see, over 30 years our discussions, he very much sort of attracted about ancient Indian way of sort of training our mind. So he become much more closer to ancient Indian thought, including Buddhism. So one day his wife, you see, reminds him, we are Jewish. So we have to keep our Judaism rather than ancient Indian sort of tradition. So like that. So therefore, now our sort of knowledge is not connected with religious faith. Here, I see secular setting. According to Indian tradition, you should respect all religion and also respect the non-believer. I think that's very relevant to today's world. So secular way, they educate about our mind, emotion. So I feel that there is real hope, change humanity's way of thinking. So instead of pessimism, sad, tear, I think the sad, usually I sort of telling some of my friend, he or she lost some of their parent or some very close. In my own case, when my teacher passed away, I feel very sad. But then, till my teacher there, I always feel I have some solid rock to lean. Now they're no longer. But then, instead of sad, I translate that sad opportunity to bring more enthusiasm. Now no longer my teacher. Now I have the responsibility to fulfill his wish. So similarly, these people, you see, your sad experience now should translate, bring more enthusiasm, more determination. Okay.
Thank you. Sarah.
Okay. I pay my respects to all of you and to your holiness. So my story started on the day where many crowds gathered in front of the ministry in Tunisia. They were demanding for freedom. It was the day of revolution. Yes, it was a happy day, but yet it left Tunisia in a vulnerable state. There were many extremism groups, and the youth was recruited by many extremists. They went to Syria, Iraq, and Libya. And what actually made it worse is that my parents were in military, so they left home and they were securing and defending. My dad got injured and my mom also was on the field. And this actually made me angry. How can we be compassionate towards such people? We are youth peace builders and we need to have inner peace and all, but how can we be compassionate towards them? And seeing all this violence in dialogue between police and youth, I started the approach of inner peace and implementing it. But what is challenging really is how seeing this people and this frustration and this violence and all, how can you talk to them about inner peace? How can we implement inner peace approach in a smarter way? Because if you're gonna call people to tell them, okay, let's have inner peace now, they will tell you, are you crazy? What's this? They don't even know this thing. So this is my question to you.
Can I ask Dalai to follow that? Because around the world, I think we have a similar situation in Venezuela.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, His Holiness. I come from Venezuela. And in 2014, the conflict started in my country. So I lost friends because the impact of a bullet. And we are, right now, we have so many problems there. We don't have food, medicines, we don't have freedom, and we feel fear all the time. So now I start a program called Bridges of Peace to train youth leaders and giving him the tools to get inner peace. So we train in human rights, peace building, and all that kind of things to just get up and don't fall up. So I live in the border with Colombia. So I always see the face of the humanitarian crisis. I see the tears, the broken families all the time, and the people living her life to look for a better future. So my question for you is, how can we be strong even feeling all that fear, oppression, and injustice all the time, because we have too much repression, persecution, tortures? So how can we stay strong even with that?
I think no. I think same question, right?
Yeah.
So as I already mentioned, pessimistic attitude is sad, or anger. This is not the solution. Violence is one violence, although maybe sincere motivation, good goal, but very nature of the method is violence. So counter-violence, endless violence. So I think only thing is through dialogue, through non-violent way. And then change society, not easy, as I already mentioned. Present way of life, materialistic life. In materialistic life and self-centered sort of feeling, I can do. And with that, anger, aggressiveness is more relevant. So whole society like that. So very difficult. But as I already mentioned, there is basis of our hope. So for long term, through education. So that's my view. Otherwise, you see, as I mentioned earlier, the present sort of situation, the whole world, see, they're very sad. Then use common sense, whether there is possibility to change this. The answer is yes, certainly can change. As I already mentioned, because human nature most compassionate, and our society is the social animal, so we have to take care about others' well-being for selfish reason. I always mentioning they think oneself out of selfish. It's narrow-minded selfish. For selfish reason, think the well-being of entire community is the wise selfish. So these, we are not talking about next life. We are not talking about Allah's place. We are simply talking about this very life. Future, of course, there's some tradition, including Buddhism. We very much talk about the future, but future life. But important is this very life, more peaceful, more compassionate than future life, 100% is good. If this very life, more violence, more sort of today, because of the immoral way of life, right? Future life is no hope. So, therefore, the important is this very life should be peaceful life. Because peace, everybody loves peace. Without peace, you see life difficult. Some my friend, some American, I think chancellor of big university, their salary, I think few millions of dollars, and because of the big university's chancellor, has a good name, very educated. But as a person, when I met first time, it's a long journey in car, so we talk. Then he expressed, as a human being, very unhappy person. In spite good name, good salary, good education, as a person, very unhappy. And then I share, and holding his hand, and then I share my own sort of life. Not easy, a lot of problem. But in spite of these problems, I keep more sort of the self-confidence and enthusiasm. Marve, enthusiasm, Marve. Oh, then when we sort of started talking these things, his face becoming much more sort of happier, peaceful. So then later, you see, I was told some of his staff member in the university, before our meeting, you see, he always prefer, in his office, he prefer remain lonely. So less work, those staff member. After our meeting, he become much more active, so much work. Some of them, you see, later I heard that kind of story. So therefore, the material value, there is limitation. Inner value really, you see, brings peace, happiness. So now the main thing is information. First they introduce the inner world, very important. Not just me. Sort of inner peace, a peace of mind, you cannot buy. If you someone go then because of the big shop and shouting, I want to buy inner peace. I think everybody is laughing. I think it may say, oh, that person's mind is something screwed up. So something wrong. So inner peace, we cannot buy. And then frankly speaking, inner peace cannot give by God. Pray, pray, pray. I don't think. As I mentioned earlier, God, you see, prefer sleep, full rest. I think God, according to theistic religion, non-theistic religion, then no creator, as I mentioned earlier. So therefore, I think according to theistic religion, God creates whole this world. Now the world not go according God's wish. So now I think God feel, now I done, so now time come just to rest. So therefore, peace, inner peace must develop through our own effort, utilize human intelligence. I think this brain, this side brain, they're mainly related with sensorial experiences. That part of the brain, animal's brain, is bigger, like elephant, huge brain. But another part of brain, kasa, amygdala, you see, mainly related with mental level, not sensory. That part, human brain, much bigger. So we have this wonderful sort of potential, thinking, analyze. Not only just seeing or hearing, but thinking. So if we utilize human thinking, long-term and holistic, one problem, for example, if you look like animal, just look from one angle, that problem appears very big. Kaza, no. Appears very big. You see, unable to face. But the same problem, try to look from different angle. Then you can see even that tragedy may have some positive sort of potential. For example, we lost our own country. Very bad. If you think only that aspect, then more frustration. Sometimes anger also comes. If you look from wider perspective, that sort of we become refugee creates new opportunity to share our 1,000-year-old our tradition, to share with more people. So there is Tibetan saying, unfortunate kasa, kienge tolashas.
Unfortunate situations turning into possibilities.
Possibility, Mari?
No.
So
it's like saying blessing in disguise.
Yes. So like that. Only think, we lost our own country, a lot of suffering, a lot of killing there. More sort of frustration. And then look from different aspect. Same event. Itself very bad, very unfortunate. But that also, you see, brings some new opportunity. Thinking that line, the sort of also the frustration reduce. Okay.
This is that's actually a perfect segue to Masa, who's dealing with some of these issues in Aleppo. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, this is okay.
Because it's a perfect.
I think our discussion continue, no problem. But meantime, I think bring tea here and enjoy tea and then talk. No problem. Yes.
Yeah, it's really a pleasure, and I'm happy sharing this with you. Actually, during the war in Syria, I had job like.
Yes.
Yeah. So watching the dynamic of city and how people interact with each other, and how people and community interact in their own cities, actually. So while I had chance to see all the cities, and day by day in the crisis, they were following it down and destroyed or damaged. One day there was like a forced evacuation of some of the cities to another city, and they only had their own the clothes that they were wearing on them, and they left everything behind them and had to move from south to north. So this is really was. Yeah. So they were forced to change. Okay. So they were forced to move and to evacuate to their countries. So it actually lets me to start an organization that works on the community and to contribute and rebuild and reconstruct in a community-wise with reflecting their culture and heritage and needs. So they might lead more peace to their communities and the city itself. So actually here become to myself a question to you. You like moved out from your country and come here to Tibet, to India, sorry, and bring like almost all the culture of Tibetan here, and you feel like it's really home? Do you feel that you really belong here when bringing everything from Tibet to here? Do you really belong here? Or okay, I will just.
I think I may. I think
there's a whole culture.
Usual sort of my thinking. 7 billion human beings, mentally, emotionally, physically, we are same. And then, as I already mentioned, social animal. Our community now, in wider sense, entire 7 billion human beings are one community. So with this feeling, wherever I go, I always feel I reach another human being's place, and meeting people, another human brothers, sisters. So if I too much emphasis, you see, differences, we are firstly Asian. The Middle East people, half Asia, half West. In Africa also, is it difficult to say, it belongs to Asia or Europe? So independent, you have your own huge continent, full of problems. But still, your emotion under this is because of the color and different style of hair. Emotion, same mind, same physical. I am monk, but otherwise we can marry some African women. So you see, physically we are same. Mentally also, brain. One time I met in Soweto, in Africa. I purposely visited one native African family. Then I told them, now you South African, you develop the democratic constitution. Everybody equal, wonderful. However, mentally, emotionally, now you must sort of change the African people, inferior, black African, inferior. So that now must change. And then you should develop equal white people, black people, and then with self-confidence, work hard, compete with white African. I mentioned. Then you see that native African, the person, he told me, oh, no, we cannot compete with white people. Our brain is inferior. That moment, I really shocked. Then I argue. This is totally wrong. If we go to brain specialist, any differences of brain due to color, they all sort of brain specialists say 100% same. Then I also, you see, told him, some hardliners, narrow-minded, some Chinese officials, they consider Han people more advanced, the Tibetan more inferior. But when we have the opportunity, we become equal level education in many fields. So therefore, I mentioned, we are same. Then at last, you see, his response with a long sigh. Then he answered to me. Now he convinced we are same, equal. That moment, I really feel tremendous relief. At least I can make some change, one individual. So we are same. So therefore, I think firstly, the sort of sense of oneness of human being, that's very important. So me, with that feeling, wherever I go, I always feel very close. If I too much emphasis, I'm Asian, I'm Tibetan, I'm Buddhist, I'm Dalai Lama, or something very, very unique or special, then the result I will develop loneliness. Isn't it? So the very, very useful sense of oneness of 7 billion human beings. Then I feel plenty of brothers, sisters. Occasionally we may fight, but basically we are same human brothers, sisters. So that's very important. And modern education, modern facility really brings that kind of feeling. We are same. We are same human being on this planet. Okay, that's my view.
So it's belonging to humanity itself, right?
So from one place to another place, an uncomfortable feeling is due to narrow-mindedness.
Let's have a secret now.
Yeah.
Get you tea. Do you want tea or coffee?
Tea.
Milk and sugar?
Just black.
I think you bring tea here, and then we can talk continuously.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, Tadar.
It's my hometown from Inle Lake.
Right. Beautiful. Yes. Thank you. Okay. Thank you.
So I brought a gift for you from my country to person.
Okay.
For you to keep whatever you want to keep. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
It's such an honor to see you and meet you.
Thank you.
So good.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm from Burma, and this is the last day of the Buddhist land. I just went to pray.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. 이제 okay. Oh. Okay. Yes, I pray.
You want to take a look? Here. 1, 2, 3. Okay.
Thank you. So the Muslim brothers, sisters, now I have sort of special the commitment, trying to bring a closer relation. Indian Muslim. Now next year, the national level, one meeting Muslim, firstly national level in Delhi, then eventually we are hoping international level Muslim conference. So I really feel terrible, Sunni and Shia in Afghanistan or Syria, in many places, we see killing each other. And now today, I think the Iran as Shia, Saudi Arabia as Sunni, beside other sort of problem. But religious faith, the very name of Shia and Sunni, dangerous. So now I really feel the Indian Muslim is a very good relation. So Indian Muslim remain indifferent about these problems. I feel unfortunate. We have to. How long since you keep this hair? How long?
Last time it was like 3 months ago. The ending.
Yeah. And tell him your name.
I'm Lama.
Kaza. Lama.
Yeah.
Word Lama, not necessarily holy. In South America, one animal called Lama.
Holiness, maybe while you finish your
Yes,
tea,
we can
get started because
Yes.
we actually you were talking very interestingly at the break about how to build bridges across differences, across divides, whether it's the Tibetans and the Chinese, or how that's such a key issue. And so that's definitely a challenge that a lot of our youth leaders deal with in their countries, something that they're keenly aware of and that they're trying to do. So I'd like to maybe ask Haider to get us started. And please remind His Holiness where you're from, your name and where you're from.
Thank you very much. I'm Haider from Iraq. My story really is about how I lived the 28 years of my life in Iraq. I'm 20 years old. How it changed from the country that I remember when I was a child. It really changed right now. It's not the same people that I know. I work in facilitating peaceful coexistence workshop, interfaith workshops, so people can live together. This one time, an incident happened to me while I was facilitating these workshops, and I returned home. And I saw my sister, my 15-year-old sister. She was really beaten up by her teachers. That's connecting to the education thing that Your Holiness were talking about. She was hit by her teachers because she was not wearing hijab. So I really had this conflict ideas about whether I should go on or not with what I'm doing. Because I just came from the peaceful coexistence workshop. And I see this happens in my own home. My question is that, have you ever lost hope in the people you know and what you did? Because the home, like right now, I'm feeling homesick at home, if that makes sense. Thank you.
And Your Holiness, I think Suleiman has a similar story. If you could share yours, Suleiman.
Thank you, Your Holiness. We are very excited to have you here. And many thanks USIP and especially Nancy to make it all possible here. My name is Suleiman and I'm from Afghanistan. I'm living in a country that the people start the day talking about war, battle, conflict, suicide attack, terror and killing. It's like a major topic of my life and my people each day. And till they go back to their bed, and it's not clear they go back their bed or not. In presence of conflict and in absence of peace, we lost many our beloved people, many our friends, and I especially myself lost many of my very close friends. When I go outside as a peace builder, as a civil society activist, as a lecturer, when I talk with my friends and other generation about peace, actually I see and I learn that they are just losing their hopes, trust, and belief regarding peace and about peace. They just know the word conflict, battle, war, and killing and terror. Nothing is like peace there. So this is a big problem for me, for a new educated generation in my country, that we are going and we are working hard regarding peace, to build peace in my country, but unfortunately the people do not believe on us. They think that we are a part of a project, a foreigner project, and we do not have, even I myself and my friends do not have belief in peace. So I'm going to ask you, and I want to have your comments and advice regarding this, how I and my educated generation can rebuild again trust and hopes among people. How I and my educated generation can reconvince people that there is one thing that's called peace, and one day we achieve it. And we are very happy again to have you, and I'm very waiting to listen to your words, and I'm very have my own commitment and with myself that to go forward. But sometimes bad things happen and around me that makes me like to stop. It's like enough. Thank you.
Thank you, and I think Hasnia, you have actually a similar question. So maybe we could get your voice in before we return to His Holiness.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Holiness. I'm Husnia from Afghanistan, and I grew up as an internal displaced child in northern Afghanistan, and from that time I really passed a very bad time in my childhood, because about 6 years I couldn't engage myself and integrate myself to the community that I lived. And from that time, I started to work with the girls, because I was the only girl that went to school, and the other girls that they lived in my community, their parents, their family do not allow them to go to school. In this case, I started some free education courses for them, and I started to work with them. Now I'm working with, from that time till now, I'm working with internal displaced youths and children on peace education, because I had a bad time in the community that I lived, and now I want to integrate those children and youths that they are coming from the other side of Afghanistan to the north of Afghanistan. And I have some problems in the community, because you know that Afghanistan is a religious country, and we have lots of religious scholars. Many times the religious scholars and the elders that they are in the community, they're trying to avoid me, or they do not facilitate the things that I want to conduct on the community. And my question is, from Your Holiness, that how can I deal and act with these elders and religious scholars to facilitate my work in the community? Thank you.
Thank you, Hasnia.
Emotionally, Afghanistan, geographically also some connection with Tibet. And I think, no question, in ancient time, there is some contact. Afghanistan is. And then Silk Road. I think Kazakhstan and Afghanistan, I think these. So, and in any way, the India's neighbor, Afghanistan. So I have sort of serious sort of concern or feeling about Afghanistan. But then, from here, I myself, nothing can be done. Just some sad feeling, otherwise nothing. So I think Afghanistan case, I think India can do something instead of American sort of involvement. I think India, the large number of Muslim. I think India is, I think, number one Muslim. The number case, I think, India. I think first Indonesia, then second, I think, India. So, as I think this morning, I already sort of mentioned, Indian Muslim should take some active role regarding, you see, peaceful among Muslim. So, including Afghanistan. So, hopefully, next year, some national level, some Muslim, all India Muslim conference will take place. At that time, I think some brothers, sisters from Afghanistan, I will going to suggest to some the organizer I know very well, and because I suggest to them such meeting. So I think some Afghanistan, because I can sort of ask organizer. So some Afghan Muslim should participate. So then all these problems appears problem happen because of weapon. But ultimately, the user of the weapon, our mind, our emotion. So one sort of meeting, one meeting will not solve. But that is the start. Tirelessly make effort. One fail, again effort. One fail, again effort. That's the only way. Then basically, you see, in the psychological sort of field, you see, we have sort of, according to Indian sort of psychology, all destructive emotion based on ignorance, no solid basis of reason, non-violence, compassion, very sound basis. Therefore, those emotions which based on sound basis, with reason, we can use our intelligence, and through that way, we can increase these forces of emotion. The other emotions, such as anger, no such basis, just to come, spontaneously come. But actually, these sort of emotion, destructive emotion, short-sighted, narrow-minded. So, long run, the emotion which is based on solid reasons and sort of view, wider perspective, much more stronger than the destructive emotion. So now, in order to utilize human intelligence to strengthening our positive emotion, education is very important, as I mentioned earlier. So that's my view. The Afghanistan, of course, our neighbor, so I'm very much concerned. Recently, your election, some killing. In spite of that, you carried the election. Wonderful. Now, such as you see, you should not discourage. You see, due to certain sort of problem, you must keep your determination and continuously carry your work. Okay. So I'm hopefully, I think we can invite some Afghan people in our national level, also the Muslim conference. So once you participate our meeting, then if you create some problem, then we will expel with stick.
Maybe you can convince them to let Hasnia go work in the communities. Her comment that some of the elders and some of the religious leaders were blocking her.
If possible, some hardliner should participate in our meeting. Then through discussion, through argument, through reasoning, they will realize. I think there's a possibility to realize violent method, no future. So Afghan, ancient nation, and besides, when I flying over Afghanistan, I really feel, the country, whole country now becoming drier, and have become desert. Now time come, each Afghanistan work, plantation, and some dam. That's more important than fighting each other, killing each other, useless, meaningless, senseless. The whole country, because of global warming problem, now increasing. So in spite of that, small reason, narrow-minded emotion, killing each other, senseless. Isn't it? I feel. So I think the method maybe some conference, or at that time some hardliner also should participate. Then let them see there's a possibility of reconciliation and coexistence, right?
Including the teacher.
Yes. Holiness, you partially answered my question because the conflicts are the same everywhere. But the problem is that I'm just seeing if there's, when you lose hope in the people that you know, if there's any, have you ever lost hope in the people you know, and what did you do in that? Sorry.
And let's build on that because I think Lama had a similar question.
Actually, I live in Syria, and during the ongoing conflict in my war-torn country, Syria, the social fabric, was being divided and damaged because of the conflict and because of the armed conflict happening there. And a lot of social and community issues have arisen, like hating, like killing each other, like not accepting one another and stereotyping. Yeah, and actually since that I have taken the responsibility to build in the field of building bridges between these divides between the Syrians and between the different Syrian components. But actually there's a lot of things that are challenging my work, which are, one of them is that people are always afraid of one another. And people are always thinking of one minority or one sect as an enemy, So actually, I have always been I belong to a religious minority in Syria. So while I was working with these people, it was always the question that why do I have to accept one another? So my question to you is: have you ever been in an experience where you were not accepted? And what did you do? And actually, what did you do to help people accept one another?
No, I think much depends on myself. As I mentioned earlier, if I too much emphasis, I'm Tibetan, I'm Buddhist, then I'm the Lama, then automatically less sort of confidence or relations. Whereas I emphasize we are same human being, And then religious, I think in this conflict, I think two factors. One political, one religious faith. So the politicians also use name of religion. So religion also now involved. So I think we need two-way effort. Firstly, the religious harmony. That I fully committed promotion of religious harmony. So now I think next month I'm going to participate one all India's Sikhism, one big sort of meeting. They invited me, so I happily go there. I'm going to there because I really admire the Sikhism. Generally, you see, people consider Sikhs is more warrior, but there, the first teacher, Guru Nanak, Hindu background, but he took pilgrimage to Mecca to show religious harmony, mutual respect. So, like that, in this country, I think all major religious traditions here live together, no problem. So, one way, promotion the way, let them see there's some religious tradition here, non-believer of creator. Some tradition, their basic sort of faith is creator. Fundamental differences in a philosophical view, but live together, no problem. Then Muslim, Christian, Hindus, Buddhists, Jains, we live together. So this is one way. Try to bring religious harmony. Then in such case, I think religious leader, particularly a little bit narrow-minded leader, I think should participate. I cannot do, but some concerned Indian organizer, I think they can invite. Like that. That's one way. Then political field, I feel Indian government, the former president of Afghanistan, he educated in India, isn't it? Oh, right. So geographically also very close. So I think Indian can do. If I have some opportunity, I may suggest Indian government. So the one European, in the eyes of ordinary Afghan eye, European something different than Indian. I think much closer in the emotional level, isn't it? So their own sort of cause of conflict within your own community. Some foreign people with weapon come, you feel uncomfortable, isn't it? I feel like that. So I think practical level. Now next, Indian national level, Muslim conference. I think some of you, I think, will invite. I will going to ask the organizer. So if possible, some hardliner. When hardliner Muslim come, I also give one sword. Yes, that's what I said.
Your Holiness, you've talked a lot about the importance of You have talked a lot about the importance of education.
Yes.
Which many of our youth leaders are involved with doing. And I want to ask Tanya to talk a little bit about her work and her question.
Okay, and Tania Rosas, as I said, I'm from Colombia. I am actually from the indigenous region of Colombia. where the armed groups used to recruit young people in order to get a better impact in the country. So because of that, I started an organization by 2015 to provide differential education and holistic education in order to ensure then sustainable development. And so when we started, it was a really difficult moment for all of us because of the peace agreement. I don't know if you have, you might not know about it, but we are like challenging to do some things with those kids that were recruited by the armed groups. Now they don't have, they don't have anything else to do because all they knew were just fight and violence and those kind of things. So we started creating community schools. So we created community schools with the education model I already told you about, the holistic education model. So there was like one point when we started that makes me feel so confused about what I was doing. I bring it here because I want you to give me an advice. So the first girl that was registered in our community school by 2015 asked me one question, and like after 1,000 students that I already have, I cannot still answer that question. So she came to me and she asked me, why should I go to school instead of work with my brother? Her brother was recruited by the armed groups when he was 13 years old. All the money that they have earned was because of the armed conflict. And so I think that she was looking for guarantees, like why should I go to school? Why should I do peace instead of war? Because the war is all that I have learned in all my life. So I'm still wondering what should I answer. And there are too many kids that are still asking me the same question every time because they don't know what to do. They don't know what peace means for them. So what would you say to that girl?
Kasa. Costilia marbe.
Colombia.
Colombia.
No. Colombia. The grounds of Buchinju that you take a trigger in the party so lawyer Lobjon Day at the Legator. Shukyagus. In touch to a man which the Lobtoma which you to what the Legos. The Shin Carson Chango Remara, penetrates to Pinja Puji have been put the Jimma of the mouth and Lena should take in a did not have to be in a social Kevin, but the Detagus. And she because she did that the detail. Petition Kevin Carriore. Senior what the day, Choma Buku to the Del Blank and the Cabinet.
I think these are the reality, very complicated because of negligence in the past about inner value. As I already mentioned, so difficult deal a society where no knowledge, no experience about inner value. Very difficult. So I always say telling, I also believe the peaceful world within my lifetime will not change, will not achieve. After 20, 30 years, new world, more peaceful world can develop if we start in education field, the more sort of education about our emotion, and then they properly use human intelligence. Then I think the next generation who come through that kind of education, more holistic education, then there is hope. This moment, I don't expect some overnight, some change, impossible. Because the negative force in emotion, through centuries, we get used. The positive emotion, just like a baby, just a start. But the long run, as I already mentioned, the positive emotion, a very solid basis. Destructive emotion, no solid basis if we use common sense and human intelligence properly. So I want to discourage you, not much hope, but better, make effort. That's the way to start. The result should not expect within few years, within few decades, as I mentioned earlier, my lifetime, the new world will not come. But it is our, as a human being, as a part of global cause of the community, we have the moral responsibility, and then real change only come through our effort in education field. So we have to start effort now. The result after 15, 20 years. So in spite of some difficulties, some hopeless situation, if someone have to start this work, should not expect good result within your own lifetime. These are something really worthwhile. So, in spite some obstacles, some difficulties, you see, that is the only way to start. Okay.
Thank you. And Your Holiness, I'd like to ask Ang, who's got an important question for you.
My name is Aung Temye from Burma, and I was born in central Burma, and I became a Buddhist novice, little monk, for 7 or 8 years. Then I left my neighborhood life. Then I got involved in peace building, interfaith dialogue, and also I work as a civic educator. And when conflicts happened, there was a big argument about the roles of religions in politics. And then it's still a big issue in Burma as well. I just want to know Your Holiness' opinions on the roles of the religions in politics.
I think basically politics are dealing with the problem which exists in the society for rather
to maintain the society well.
Politics, I think, something like instrument supposed to solve the society which facing in the society. So politics, if become creation of problem, then that politics become dirty politics. Honest politics is try to solve the problem in the society. Now religion, I think, the foundation or basis of morality. And also now you Buddhist. So I never say Buddhism is best. I never say. Like you say, take one medicine. You cannot say this medicine is best medicine. You cannot say. Only judging the patient's illness and age and all other circumstances, then we can say, your case, this medicine is best. So similarly, among human beings, different mental disposition. So according their mental disposition, so then you can say, according to your mental disposition, this religion is best. Otherwise, we cannot say. The Buddha himself, you see, they taught different philosophical views according the audience who have different mental disposition. Some cases, he even indicated there is Atma. So basically, he's teaching no Atma. So he respects individuals' mental disposition. So therefore, to some people, the theistic religion, God, Creator, much more sort of helpful, relevant. To some people, I have, you see, the South African Bishop Tutu, wonderful person. Now he's too old. We have very unique sort of close relation. So we always teasing each other. So he always describe me mischievous Dalai Lama. Then I respond, mischievous bishop. So we have some lot of discussions. Then on one occasion, you see, he mentioned to me how teasing. He, as a Christian, he ready go to heaven. Dalai Lama go something different place. That means hell. Since strictly speaking, according theistic religion, believe God, then possibility reach heaven. Non-believe, no believe God, hell. So he mentioned like that. So in any way, so there is differences. Now, I never say Buddhism is best, but generally speaking, Buddhism can go with modern science side by side. Particularly Nalanda tradition, Sanskrit tradition, Pali tradition, mainly sort of based on Buddha's quotation. Sanskrit tradition, reasoning. Some master of Nalanda tradition, they even rejected some Buddha's own teaching. They use the argument, if you accept this Buddha's teaching literally, it goes against the reason. Therefore, we must reject. So some of these are pending. The Nalanda masters, 17 Nalanda masters, these, like here, Nagarjuna and Arya Asanga, all these, like particularly the Nagarjuna and Arya Deva and Chandrakirti. Now these Nalanda master, some Buddha's teaching text, they rejected. You cannot accept. So they consider reason, experiment is more important than faith. Buddha himself, you see, expressed, "Oh, my follower, monks, scholars should not accept my teaching out of faith, out of devotion, but rather thorough investigation and experiment." So therefore, some scientists say, Buddhism is not religion, but Buddhism is science of mind. Of course, I want to explain, my motivation, not sort of try to conversion, particularly this hardliner Muslim. No, your own sort of faith there is beauty in the Quran. I think the one sort of major sort of important sort of practice, 5 point or something, always mention importance of love, compassion. So all major religious tradition, really, you see, emphasis, practice of compassion, love, and use different reasons. The Buddha himself, devotion, no. So therefore, the Nalanda tradition very much based on reason. So I, as a student of Nalanda tradition, so I think 1,000 years Buddhists believe Mount Meru. I no longer sort of accept Mount Meru. If Mount Meru there, we must see. Because you see, the Mount Meru's shadow we experience during night time. Suppose sun other side of the Mount Meru. So this side dark. The Abhidhamma Karika mentioned that, including myself. I think millions of people from India to Europe, Europe to America, America to Hawaii, Hawaii to Japan, Japan to India, nobody saw Mount Meru. If there is Mount Meru, I think some, at least some, I think should see. So I publicly say I have no longer sort of believe Mount Meru. So we should be kaza. Oh, we should be sort of emphasis on reason, experiment. That's Nalanda tradition. So some Chinese Buddhist scholar, they describing Nalanda tradition Buddhism is a scientific religion. It's true. So this very room is a number of occasions discussed with scientists. Now some scientists, they mentioned Buddhism is not a religion. Buddhism is science of mind, as I already mentioned. So like that. So therefore, Buddhist concept, you see, fact. Investigate fact. Then you accept. Few years ago, in Delhi, some scholars from Bangkok Buddhist University, some came to see me in Delhi. We discuss about the Four Noble Truths and also 37 practice. These things are common. So we discuss. And then I ask, according to Pali tradition, when you explain these points mainly based on Buddha's quotation, they say yes. Then immediately I felt the Nalanda tradition, Sanskrit tradition, like now here, one particular case, one text wrote by Dharmakirti, great logician. Dignac, great logician. So, in their writing, all the point which Buddha stated, the Four Noble Truths and the 16 kasa,
16 aspects of the Four Noble Truths,
impermanent and suffering nature, all these reasoning. So therefore, the Nalanda tradition can go with modern science. And the first casualty no longer believe Mount Meru. No problem.
Your Holiness, can I return you to a question that Haider asked? And I think the first...
So now, I also use it mentioning some Burmese or Thai Buddhist and Burmese Buddhist. See, so I sort of suggest to them, it is important, useful, study some of the Sanskrit sort of text. It's really sharpening our mind. Very important. Pali tradition, mainly faith. So, Buddhist tradition, based on faith, then not much future. Buddhism, based on reason, go side by side with science, then Buddhism, I think next few centuries it will remain. I publicly mentioned in South India, over 10,000 monk students. I mentioned, if we carry Buddha Dharma through reason, investigation, then Buddha Dharma will remain next few centuries. If Buddha Dharma based on faith, Buddham Shanam Gajame, Dhammam Shanam Gajame, Sangham Shanam Gajame, without knowing what is Buddha. Do you know what is Buddha? Oh?
It's inside each one of us.
Huh? Inside.
Inside, yeah.
Oh.
Inside every human.
Oh, that's a Nalanda tradition.
It's not tradition.
Ultimately, Buddha nature is here.
Yeah.
Oh, the mind, grosser level, such as sensorial level, then deeper level, dream time, little bit deeper level. Oh, then faint, another deeper level. The most subtle, deepest level is at the time of dying, death. So that consciousness, more or less independent from this brain. After brain stop, after heart beating stop, then no longer blood circulation. Then brain soon died. But there are many cases, they clinically dead. But next 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, body remain fresh. I think last week, I think, one monk at Delhi hospital died. After a few days, his body still remained very fresh. Then my teacher, after his death, 13 days, his body remained very fresh. Then some cases, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. So scientists, especially brain scientists, no explanation. So one my friend, Richard Davison, one brain specialist, one scientist, now after sort of our discussion in scientific meeting, now he start one project especially for dead person, physical remain very fresh. So he now carries some, because of the project, to investigation, further investigation. So like that. So therefore, the mind, subtle level of mind, sometimes we call Buddha nature, no beginning, no end. So that in the most subtle mind, sometimes we call clear light. You see that by nature, pure. When grosser level of mind completely dissolved, then that clear light mind, pure. So, through practice, eventually that clear light become Buddha mind. Therefore, we call Buddha nature or Buddha mind, like that. So therefore, the Nalanda tradition, we always reasoning. So the people who follow Pali tradition, it's basis of Buddha's teaching, Buddha Dharma. Now, on top of that, the Nalanda tradition's reasoning, I think, should combine. Then Buddha Dharma really become very solid basis, not just faith. What do you think? Okay.
I think the Lord Buddha is a teacher who teaches the ways to be free from sufferings.
True.
And is very practical. But as a religion, there are facts which cannot be explained.
Buddha himself, you see, mentioned Buddha cannot sort of take away our suffering. No, Buddha cannot purify their mind through kasota, through washing. No, Buddha cannot give us his own inner experience. Only thing is, he teaches us, according to his own experience, how to purify our mind. So that's why his main teaching is anathema theory. No soul, no independent soul. All non-Buddhist, their means, they all, you see, accept soul, independent self. So in a philosophical field, there's big differences. Within Buddhism, the Vibhashik, Sodantik, Chitta Mantra, Madhyamika, different views. All are, you see, investigation. So then, different views, you see, develop. Then the important is what philosophical view directly antidote our sort of selfish, meantime grasping independence of self or everything. So quantum physics, as far as external thing is concerned, nothing exists as appears from objectively. The quantum physicists now, they say, they already know external thing does not exist by objectively. Only depend on observer. Then now modern physicists, if you ask, where is observer? No answer. In India, over 3,000 years, already investigate where is observer. Then non-Buddhist school of thought, all you see believe there is an independent self beside this body and mind. That we call Atma. And Buddha denied that. No independent, separate self. Self is a mere designation. Now some quantum physicists, mainly in China, some of them now develop sort of also their view. The quantum physicists who truly believe that is their emotion, extreme good and extreme bad, is much less. This is exactly Nagarjuna stated that. The very purpose of shunyata, anatma, shunyata theory, is antidote of that sort of mental attitude. My American friend, now very old, he deal with people who much suffer through anger. So few decades he deal such people. Then his conclusion is those people who feel very angry, mainly human being, that human being appears very negative, but 90% of that negativeness is mental projection, he told me. This is exactly Buddhist Madhyamika sort of Kasota text clearly mentioned that. Now some scientists in China also now begin to feel. So therefore, now next month, the first week next month, we're going to have the scientific meeting, mainly quantum physics, and some Chinese from Taiwan, and hopefully some mainland China. Like that. So therefore, I think, I never say Buddhism is best, but the reality, Buddhist sort of concept is investigation about reality, much deeper, much sort of sophisticated. So therefore, I'm student of Nalanda tradition, Sanskrit tradition,
Your Holiness, thank you very much. You've given us a lot to think about, and
Now
we look forward to continuing the conversation.
We can discuss.
Good.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody.